Live and local in the afternoon.
They always keep you on edge.
Cattles
and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
Here we are, just three guys with sunglasses. Cattles Ramie, Jason Anderson from the Sacramento Bee.
Three cool cats.
Just three cool cats here out at Cocoa. Outside of the G1C, Jason Anderson, he's joined us an awful lot on this program throughout my first roughly year and a half or so. And, of course, as always, he's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Jason, we appreciate you coming by, man. Great to finally sit down with you in person. Obviously, the big story tonight's De'Aaron Fox. What are you hearing? What do you expect?
Well, the story definitely changed yesterday when we walked into the gym. We didn't expect to see De'Aaron at all. Didn't expect to talk to him. Certainly didn't expect him to come out and say, no, I'm playing. But that's what happened. And so here we go. They've upgraded him to questionable, but he left no doubt about it yesterday, saying, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm playing tomorrow night. And so I think we're going to see him. We'll see how effective he is. He spent a lot of time on the floor after practice yesterday, just kind of getting the feel for the way the ball's coming off his fingertips with the splint on. And so mixed results, I would say, from what we observed after practice. We'll see if maybe he's kind of figured that out tonight, and if he can be De'Aaron Fox.
I've heard suspicion of shenanigans, gamesmanship going both ways. That initially the way that it was reported was exaggerated, so the Warriors didn't know what to get ready for. Maybe De'Aaron and the Kings put a good face on it yesterday and made it look better than it really is. Do you get the sense that there's any of that going on, or have we gotten the full story on the De'Aaron Fox finger injury?
I think that's nonsense. I mean, if the Kings were really trying to, hide something with De'Aaron specifically, you leave it a mystery up until game time, and then you run him out there in the starting lineup. The fact that they put him out there yesterday, and we watched him on the floor, and we talked to him, and got to hear, him kind of tell us what was going on. I think that's baloney, frankly.
Jason Anderson with us from the Sacramento Bee. Jason, we just talked about Davion Mitchell. The idea, I would like to start him tonight. Any chance of that happening, or do you think Coach Brown just rolls out what we've seen?
I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Mike, hasn't told us that, and I don't think he would even pregame. But it's an interesting conversation to have. Some of their best lineups have been with Davion on the floor. What he brings defensively as just a tenacious on-ball defender is something that very few guys in the league can do. So you add that to the fact that Kevin Huerter has struggled to get the shot falling. He's shooting 14% in the playoffs. I think he's 3 of 21. I think there's a conversation to be had there. But I think if you're going to win this series, you need to get Kevin going. You're going to need him, especially if Fox is going to be limited to any degree in terms of what he gives you offensively. You got to get Kev going. You got to get HB going. You need Keegan to continue to do what he did in Game 4, and that's going to be your best chance to win. But they've made some adjustments on both sides already. I felt like the Warriors were kind of trying to hide Steph from Davion a little bit in a couple of those early games.
Yep.
If you watched, Davion comes on the floor, Steph goes and takes a seat.
Yep.
Davion leaves, Steph comes back. And so we've seen this chess match between Mike and Steve up to this point, and I don't think that's over. We very well may see another adjustment or two as we go through these last 3 games.
What do you think is going on with Domantas Sabonis? I know that's a big, broad question, but what do you think is going on? Do you think it's what the Warriors are doing to him? Is he doing it to himself? Why hasn't he been the guy that we saw in the regular season?
Yeah, the Warriors have schemed them really well on specifically the dribble handoff stuff that the Kings like to do in their offense. So much of it is built on DHOs, and they've just blown that up. So they're sagging off of him when he's got it, the ball at 15, 18 feet, daring him to take that shot, and then they're really disrupting what they do in the DHO game, which has contributed to some of the poor shooting numbers that I just alluded to. They're getting open shots, but they're not the same shots they were getting during the regular season, where Huerter curls behind the screen from Domas, takes the DHO and shoots 40%. So they're making adjustments to some of what the Warriors are doing. Warriors have done it really well. They've done a good job, and yeah, they've made things difficult for Domas thus far.
Jason Anderson is with us from the Sacramento Bees on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. We're outside here of Doco getting ready for game one. Just a fantastic atmosphere. I'm sure over the next hour this place is going to get packed. A little bit warm, but Rami's trying to stay focused through the warmth. Jason,
I sweated through my shirt.
He has
saw the stains.
He tends to have some issues from time to time.
I don't handle the heat well, Jason.
So Harrison Barnes, we talked about him earlier in the show, and to me, Jason, he hasn't been nearly as aggressive as he should be. What do you think can get him going? Because when you look at his postseason numbers, he hasn't been necessarily good in the playoffs through his career. How do you get him going if you're the Kings tonight?
Well, I think, for all of them, and Kevin said this specifically, you want to see a shot fall. Like if you can get the first one to go, you can knock down a couple early. That's big for confidence and rhythm. And I think that should be, maybe a point of emphasis for them tonight. Mike has talked about them driving into traffic and going at 2-3 guys where they collapse in the paint,
right? And
they're just looking for calls. And so now you don't get the call, you don't get the bucket, and you're getting beat down the floor because you're standing there asking the referee why he didn't call a foul. So Mike says, look, we can't. The way he put it was interesting. I wrote about this. He said, you're asking for like Mike's a big UFC guy. You're asking for a judge's decision.
I didn't know that. I'm a big UFC guy.
Yeah. So
there you go.
He says if you do that, you're asking for a judge's decision. We're not going to win a decision against the defending champions. We've got to knock them out.
Yeah.
And so he wants, get into the paint, but make the right read. If the defense collapse, just kick it out, find an open 3-point shooter, and as Mike likes to say, let that thing fly.
Which Warriors team do you expect tonight? They were Jekyll and Hyde on the road and at home this season. So far, to a degree, that's played out in this series. You ask Steve Kerr, some of those guys, they'll tell you that they're a different team now, and that's not something that they're worried about. Which team do you expect to show up?
Yeah, I mean, coming into the playoffs, I figured that would be the case, that, look, the regular season is the regular season. The playoffs are the playoffs, and they know that well, and they're healthy now. Their roster is everybody's available. I did not expect to see the same kind of road struggles continue in the playoffs, but here we are going into Game 5, and they're 0-2 on the road in the playoffs. So I don't know. Nothing has changed yet. So I think everybody has that sense with the Warriors that they can flip a switch and turn it on and just hit you with one of those big waves where they just crush you. But it hasn't happened here on the road so far for them. It did certainly in Game 3 when they were at home. But we'll see if they can find that tonight. They may not. They're a little older than they've been, obviously, over the last 9 years. The series, the way it sets up now, you have 1 day between games and not 2, which they had a couple of times over the first 4 games. And so you would think that's maybe advantage Sacramento with the younger legs. De'Aaron's injury throws a little bit of a wrench into that sort of thinking, just because how much time might he need between games to feel right. So some of that remains to be seen, but that's one little advantage that I kind of looked ahead to for the Kings, where over the last 3 games of the series, assuming we have 3 more, that may play into their hands a little bit.
His name is Jason Anderson. He's from the Sacramento Bee. Jason, it was great to meet you. Hang out in person a little bit, my guy. Always great on Twitter.
Yeah, I got to go. I've got tickets for Ramie and Lance Woods at the Punchline
tonight, 8 o'clock. DVR that game. If you're not going to be here, just DVR it.
He set it up perfect for him. Set it up perfect for him. We'll talk. We'll continue to talk Kings Warriors coming up next.
Cattles Ramie.
Sactown Sports. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Whether it be between the third and the fourth or at some point, we got to embrace basketball hell, man. Now that we're a good team, that's a whole different meaning. And again,